independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I love my state. I don't recognize it much anymore. Talked about it ad nauseum. It's a one-party state that is out of control, run by people in Sacramento the way they feel that it should be run for their peeps in their world, and the rest of us be damned. On top of that, it's expensive, it's ridiculous, and more people are fleeing the state like this gentleman did. Paul Chabot joins us. You've got conservativemove.com. You've ran for office twice here in California. And eventually, Paul, you decided you had enough of California, and you said, you know what, I'm heading off to Texas.
Yeah, Chad, hey, much appreciated. Thanks for being with me. And I love your intro. When they mentioned punk rock, I just kind of flashed back to my my true roots. I grew up skater kid, long bangs, listened to Misfits, Social D, all the great bands. Many of them played in California, got their start out that way. So,
absolutely, man. That's what we are here. We're just above being a regular talk show.
That's awesome. Well, good job. So yeah, look, I was born and raised California, 43 years. My wife the same. We've got 4 kids, ages 10, 7, 6, and 4. My background, been in law enforcement 21 years, military 16 at the same time. The state that I was raised in, that you and I both grew up in, we can't even recognize it anymore. It is very difficult for us to say that we love California because, as Reagan said, the Democrat Party left him. It's sort of the same in California. Look, when we were there, schools were incredibly good. Freeways were great. Crime was low. Good-paying jobs were plentiful, and it was overall a great, pleasant place to be. But that's back when conservatives were largely in charge, or Republicans, if you will. Since liberals have come into power, not just power, the supermajority in California and the extreme left wing, they've destroyed the state. You now got the highest crime rates, highest poverty rates. You have these tent cities popping up everywhere, and it's starting to look like Venezuela and other third world countries. And it just kills me that a beautiful state has been destroyed brick by brick by this liberal movement.
It's funny because we were listening to earlier. We had something from Bernie Sanders saying, the right wing are nothing but extremists. But I can look here in California and say Kevin De Leon and all of these are they're not Democrats. They're progressives that have moved so far left that you sit here and you think to yourself, my God, Paul, where is the end of this madness going to be? And at what point in time are we going to become somewhat Venezuela-like?
Yeah, and that's why we created the Conservative Move, conservativemove.com website, to help families or individuals that have just had enough. They look at their communities and go, I don't belong here anymore. They don't want me. They don't support, our beliefs of good schools, safe streets, good-paying jobs. So we help them relocate to red states. But let me say this. I've got a friend who's the chairman for the Riverside County Republican Party. Good guy. He's a mayor pro tem for Menifee. Called me up, and he's distraught. I mean, he's kind of upset that I'm moving conservatives from California to Texas and other areas. What I'm telling him, look, guys, if you can fight the fight. But doggone it, the Republican establishment has devastated our party in California by going soft, trying to moderate, and just not standing up for our core principles. If you guys at all have a chance back, you need to talk about these core fundamentals about what families care about. It kills me that we had 7 of our Republicans vote for this cap-and-trade tax in California. But on a business side, being out here in Texas, that has brought me so much more business. So it's a curse and a blessing. And I would love to see the conservatives really just, put some big boy pants on and boot out the moderates and take back the state based on value.
Yeah, and I'm pretty independent. I come at every single thing, Paul, as each individual issue, and I hear both sides of the story. I want the truth. I want facts, not feelings. But the facts are, California's got we've got 10% of the population, about 33% of the welfare. We are becoming a sanctuary state. Yep. We give licenses to people that are here illegal. We turn, we've just turned this into this weird, bizarre kind of progressive utopia. And at the same time, it's broke, it's falling apart, but they don't seem to care.
No, and so here's the message that I think we need to do a better job of in communicating, but you're already doing it. There is a clear distinction and difference between, the progressive leftists and the old school blue dog Democrats. Look, John F. Kennedy, if he were running today, he would not get the Democrat nomination. He doesn't. That part of the Democrat Party is dead in America and definitely in California. So my heart goes out to the old school blue dog Democrats who typically you could sit down with and have a rational conversation. But these other extremists on this far left end, like you said, they now control the politics. They control the policies. And so you probably read online just a few days ago, over 1 million illegal aliens in California now have driver's licenses, which should infuriate every legal citizen in California who is stuck in traffic, can't find a home, their schools are crowded, and they just can't find good-paying jobs. I mean, California's destroying the middle class in that once beautiful state.
Talking to Paul Chabot from conservativemove.com. And, you talk about not finding a home. The prices here are ridiculous. People are – and why some people stay here, even for that alone, Democrat or Republican, why some people stay in this state for ridiculousness. The ridiculous prices that are to just to be able to afford a small apartment in Orange County, Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Francisco. It's crazy. And you moved out to Texas. I lived in San Antonio. I loved it. I found it to be a very diverse culture and people, all the stuff that you hear about. You're going to move to Texas or this, that, and the other. Oh, my God, it's just a bunch of crazy rednecks. It's not like that. It's far more diverse than most people think because we're segregated here in many ways, as you know this, Paul, because of, of the prices of things. So predominantly areas are certain areas, whether it's Chinatown, whether it's predominantly African-American or this, that, and the other, we're segregated by price.
We are. So in California, here's how nutty it is. First off, the state liberals are not in favor of home ownership. They're in favor of stack and pack, large density homes. And the American dream has always been home ownership. When families own homes, they tend to take better care of their community. The kids are more engaged. Now, look, not everybody needs a home right now. If you're young, single, etc. I lived in apartments, condos, all that. But as a family person, when you get to that level, research shows that kids thrive when parents own their home. In California, that's not possible. Two parents are likely working 2 or 3 different jobs, stuck in traffic both ways. But here's the big kicker. Homes in California don't need to be as much as they are. There is about $100,000 plus tacked on to the construction price of every new home in California, always an exception to the rule, but that increases the cost of that home to the new home buyer. So if California would just knock off all their environmental regulations and taxes and all these things, they could make home ownership and also allow builders to develop. There's plenty of land. But for some reason, they're trying to stack everybody into these urban centers and trains and mass transit and bicycle lanes when that pushes away from our freedom of individuals and who we are.
So you've got Conservative Move, and you've seen a lot of people. I know when I was just out in Missouri for a week or so and through the Midwest, and I ran into a lot of Californians who left, some because of political leanings, some because of the expense. And I know in Texas it was the same way. In Texas, as I try to explain to people, I interviewed the guy at the time who was the CEO of Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's, and he said, we'll never build a corporate store again in California because from day one to the day that we can serve a burger, it's up to 2 years. In Texas, I can get that done in 6 weeks. It's insane.
It is. And so if you look at Texas, as one example of many, it's a huge business-friendly state. So many businesses leave California for Texas. Toyota closed their North American headquarters in California, brought 3,000 jobs here to North Texas. If you look at the 4 of the top 10 cities in America, they're within a 30-mile radius of where I live. Plano, Frisco, Allen, McKinney, Prosper, all of these great cities. And it's not just great cities for business. My school district that my kids go to has a 98.2% graduation rate. Average cost of home is probably $200,000, $225,000, $250,000. Gas is $1.98 per gallon. You're not paying 10 cents for a plastic bag. It just goes on and on and on. So we're not pioneers in Texas by moving here and creating this business. what we realized is so many people here in Texas have already left California. We're actually late to the game, but they left for the same reason that we did, and that's why we created conservativemove.com to help people sell their homes in a blue area where they're fed up, buy it in a red one, and then also help them find employment. And this is a huge region for good-paying jobs.
Yeah, and one of the things I know you hear in places is, well, man, if you move out of California, you're never going to be able to make the same kind of money you do here. And I call BS on that because I've lived all over the country. And guess what? You find out it's pretty comparative in a lot of places.
Yeah, absolutely. But also in California, you're paying a lot more for a lot less. I mean, gasoline alone, especially for the middle-class families, most of them are commuting in traffic and stuck in these clogged freeways. They're going to pay, 12 to 14 cents more automatic coming in October. Then the cap and trade, the 50, 60, 70, 80-plus cents to kick in years down the road. And now the 10 to 20% addition in utilities. It just goes on. And now that we hear rumblings that the liberals want to take away Prop 13, which protects sort of your tax rate of your home when you purchase it. That, again, will be another death nail for California. You're going to be left with two groups there, the liberal coastal elite that control everything and the working poor.
So you've moved to Texas. You started conservativemove.com, and we're talking to Paul Chabot, who started this. Hey, we're going to move you from a blue state to a red state. It's really interesting. What do other Texans and people, when you move them, what do they say? Are they opening? Are they welcoming to having, hey, because a lot of times, it's like, oh, it's somebody else from another state. But how is the feel around there when you move people there from California?
The only consistent fear that I hear is don't come here and change Texas. Be Texas. Be a part of Texas. Come here for the reasons of why you left where you left and be a participant in this great democracy. Do not come here and change it into your blue state because those are the reasons you left. And so that is a legitimate concern because many of these companies relocating from California, like Toyota's bringing 3,000 people, not all of them are probably going to share the reasons Toyota left or the values of what Texas has, but that could be a voting block. So our reason is, look, don't come here just for the job. Come here because of why the jobs come here and why families thrive here to be a part of this. And let this be an example to other blue states. I think the next generation in California, if it wakes up and realizes the poverty and living in, grandma's basement with $250,000 in student loan debt and no real good paying jobs, maybe that will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but who knows?
Yeah, talking to Paul Chabot from conservativemove.com. So you've moved a lot of people. You've got this thing going. You're out. What you bought your house for in Texas compared to California? Just give somebody a quick idea of the difference of what you get there comparatively to here.
Yeah, so I would say, for $250,000, $300,000, you're easily looking at a typical average, 4-bed, 2-bedroom house. You can get everything from a ranch with cows on it, or we live in a huge HOA with 2 golf courses and 40 communities, and it varies. In fact, where we live in North Texas in McKinney, an area called Stonebridge, this whole area of North Texas reminds me of Orange County, California in the 1980s. There's cranes up everywhere, new bridges, new office buildings, new homes. They just cannot, build enough. Of all the people that have contacted us at conservativemove.com, we've had about 2,500 families contact us within 3 weeks. 1,500 of those are from California, and they're all kind of sharing the same story. They're looking to get their kids in some schools, or the crime rate is out of control, or they're looking for just better paying jobs and a way of life. That is a very welcome concept here, and I would say North Texas and Arizona and Utah and Idaho and South Carolina, many of these states offer not just what Texas does, but what other red communities do. And I think the Inland Empire, inland area, Sacramento, out in the valley, still has that bread and butter family feel, but unfortunately they can't thrive because of the state laws and state policies.
His name's Paul Chabot. He runs conservativemovement.com. You can check it out. We appreciate you coming on, Dave. Very interesting, and we're seeing more and more taxpayers and jobs and job creators leave this state, and that's a sad thing, and we appreciate you talking about that today, Paul.
Thanks, Jeff, for having me. Anytime.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy, but this is what we've got now. We've got a one-party state, and I don't know about you, but I would like to see the other party take some power back so we have some balance. We'll never get